There's really three things that the video game award show that Jeff Keighley runs is known for. It's an opportunity for him to hang around with his BFF Hideo Kojima. He loves to go full Hollywood with celebrity appearances that don't really make much sense and it's always cringe. And then he also wants to be the marketing machine of this industry. That's what the video game award show represents. It's a moment in which we all come together and we all bash on the show. And this year is probably not going to disappoint at all. In years past, especially last year, there was controversy in which Larian was giving their award speech and then they got this, please wrap it up, which, yeah, just a very embarrassing moment, but Jeff Keighley trying to make sure it stays under about 3 hours. We also saw some controversy even just as of late in regards to some of the stuff that Jeff Keighley's been pulling. This is a recent thing in which he was trying to trademark Game Awards, so I guess he becomes the premier Oscars level, the only person who can do this. And I don't think that this patent, and all indication is it probably won't go through, but the fact that he's trying to trademark the words Game Awards so he's the only one who can use it in the US, I just don't like it at all. But hey, this is Keighley. He wants to make sure his show is seen as the premier video game award show. Now, in regards to the actual event, we've already seen some controversy, some outlets running with this. I love this one. The gamer, if Black Myth Wukong isn't nominated for Game of the Year, fans are going to be insufferable. Now, it was nominated, but a certain other game did not get nominated. But yeah, they pointed out their own games media circle. Polygon recently updated its Game of the Year frontrunners list, while the Golden Joystick Awards also announced its 6 nominees for this year's PC and console Game of the Year categories. Black Myth Wukong is nowhere to be seen outside of smaller categories. And this led them to say that a bunch of conspiracies on all kinds of outrage was going to emerge, but no. The only real outrage that we have seen actually in regards to the event is the fact that Dragon Age The Veilguard actually didn't get many nominations. I am kind of surprised on that one. Still, Polygon outlets like this, not exactly very happy about that. There was one big snub in the Game Award nominations. Dragon Age The Veilguard, a game engineered to succeed at the Game Awards, it did not. And yeah, this is just another embarrassing sight for BioWare. This was supposed to be their, return to form. And hey, I think a lot of people don't remember, but Dragon Age Inquisition, a game that wasn't exactly loved by Dragon Age fans, still went on to, I think it won Game of the Year in 2014. So yeah, this is just not a great look for Dragon Age The Veilguard and BioWare, who really is desperate for some wins, especially as it doesn't look like Veilguard's doing all that well right now in terms of performance. Now, we've also seen Kotaku running with similar articles, Dragon Age The Veilguard snubbed even from the RPG category, which that's actually really funny, that one right there. And I do need to circle back to Black Myth Wukong and its nomination because, well, games media is having a meltdown about it. Multiple sites writing stories about why it's undeserving and pointing to its Metacritic score as evidence of that. And also pointing out the fact that it is the lowest rated game to earn a Game of the Year nomination. But again, this is Metacritic, all these access media outlets. There was a whole controversy before release and called into question some of the review scores and stuff we talked about a while ago. But what makes this suspicious is some of the very sites writing these stories are supposedly part of the Game Awards jury. Makes you wonder the mysterious process that happens with how these nominees are chosen, like it is worth mentioning that Black Myth was a behemoth in China and an important game for Chinese audiences, and not having the game getting a nomination could come with maybe a revolt from a market that Jeff Keighley doesn't want to upset. But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory. And then yeah, more controversy has emerged in regards to the Game Awards, because in the lead up to the Game of the Year announcement, we're going to get to all the awards in a second, but this is what Jeff Keighley, this is what's on his website for the Game Awards. Expansion packs, new game seasons, DLCs, remakes, and remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. And when this was brought up, a lot of people did not know about this. Apparently this has been something that's, I guess, a Game Awards staple for a very long time, but many people took this as a sign that, yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree is probably getting a Game of the Year nomination, and it very much did. Now, there's also been some conversation in regards to the voting jury. This is always going to be one of those things that's heavily debated, who's actually getting input into the decision making with these choices, and these are some of the outlets that they have. There's actually supposedly some defunct jury members on here, which is kind of funny. Maybe Jeff just hasn't updated his website, but some of these don't really cover video games at all much, like Entertainment Weekly barely does it. There's a couple of other it definitely calls into question who they're actually picking for this. The Atlantic barely covers video games. Discussing film is literally about film. So, like I said, there's so many different problems with the Video Game Awards show, but it is the Game Awards show that everybody pays attention to the most, and they're always watching to see whatever announcement's going to be made. And I guess kind of the funniest thing about the Game Awards is the fact that the hype isn't really around the awards, but the announcements, the marketing, the trailers, the marketing machine. That is what Jeff Keighley is known for with these events, and that's what it represents. Now, getting to the actual awards, like I said, there are some crazy things here, but most anticipated game, there's really no controversy. I don't even need to mention these picks because it's Grand Theft Auto 6. That's the game that's going to win this. The next one we have is Best Adaptation. This one's rather interesting because Arcane Season 2 isn't even done with its full episodes right now, only 6 of them, and it's been pretty decent, not as good as Season 1. It feels like they're rushing to finish this, and that's probably my biggest criticism, but we'll see how it wraps up. I do think that Arcane's probably better than most of this. Fallout, you could make an argument, although there's definitely some issues with Fallout as well, but yeah, I could see between Arcane and Fallout, and I love the Game Awards show because they have to put like 5 or 6 options, so neither of these adaptations really got positive reviews, and Arcane isn't even really an adaptation of League of Legends. If anything, it's very distant from it, and thank God it is. I will also remind everybody that the Halo TV show Season 2, the whole Fall of Reach arc, yeah, that came this year, and it actually got better reviews than Yakuza, but maybe it's best that we all just forget that that even existed. Next one, Best Multiplayer: Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party, Tekken 8, Warhammer, Space Marine 2, and I think Helldivers 2 really should win this. I know it was months and months ago, but I really do think that it was a transformative moment for the video game industry in terms of what this game will represent in years to come, but we'll see what happens. The next one we have is Best Sports/Racing, and this is where another controversy emerges because the clear winner of this award isn't here, and I will give props to it. It is EA's College Football 2025. Like I said, all of these, I don't even care about any of this, but college football, this was a massive return, a massive moment, and yes, it met the hype for what it, the hype that was behind it. So yes, it not even being nominated is absolutely insane, especially with the rubbish like NBA 2K and EAFC and all that. Yeah. Definitely don't know why it was nominated. Best Sim/Strategy, this is probably going to be these two games going against each other, Mana Lords and Unicorn Overlord. Unicorn Overlord probably has more recency bias behind it. Mana Lords really started out strong, and it's also still in early access with some issues with it. So either one of these, definitely there could be a case made, in my opinion. The next one we have is Best Family Game: Astro Bot, Princess Peach, Super Mario Party, Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, The Plucky Squire, and I really could see Astro Bot winning many awards on the Game Awards show night, and yeah, it's definitely going to win Best Family. Just a fantastic platformer from Sony that really honors the history of PlayStation. The next one, Best Fighting: Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Green Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm actually surprised that they're putting arcade classics in this category, but I guess they just were looking for anything. Multiverse is many issues, and Tekken 8. This is probably a battle between Tekken and Dragon Ball, and I would imagine Tekken 8, especially with the reception that it received, probably going to win this award as well. The next one, Best RPG, and this is where, yes, Dragon Age The Veilguard did not get a nomination, and if you look at all these choices, I don't think there's a controversy with it at all. Dragon's Dogma 2 was a better experience. Shadow of the Erdtree as well, and I will say that it is worth mentioning, back in 2016, a lot of people are bringing this up, a lot of people forget it, but The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine did get a Best RPG nomination. I think it even won in 2016, so it's not unprecedented to have, DLC in these big categories like Best RPG. And then there's also Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor, and this is probably a battle between Metaphor and Elden Ring, and I would give the slight edge to Metaphor, but who knows, because Shadow of the Erdtree definitely earned a massive reception, and it really could sweep the Game Awards again, just like it did back in 2022 with the base game experience. The next one, Best Action/Adventure: Astro Bot, Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2. Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws somehow got here. I don't know how that made the list. The Legends of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. And this is another one which probably Astro Bot takes the cake, but I could see a case being made for either one of these three games right here. It would be funny for Prince of Persia to win just because that whole team is now defunct and they're no longer making a sequel because Ubisoft's just a very dumb company and they didn't know how to market this experience. So yeah, it would be very interesting seeing them get this award and having to come to that stage and be like, yeah, we really loved our time working on this and now we're pretty much doing other things because Ubisoft doesn't know how to market their games. The next one we have is Best Action Game, Black Myth Wukong, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Space Marine 2. Again, it really could go with any of these games. I guess the slight edge I would probably give is Black Myth Wukong, especially with how massive experience it was, and it was a fantastic game in my opinion. Next one we have Best VR/AR. This is just a market that many gamers do not care about. Myself, I don't really care that much too. I would say that the slight edge probably goes to Batman, just because it got mostly a good positive reception, at least from what I remember from critics. Some of these, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember at all. So yeah, take that as you wish. The next one we have is Best Mobile Game, and this is another game that's probably going to sweep the Game Awards, and it might actually win Game of the Year. It's Balatro. I'm not going to talk too much about this game because it's very, I guess if you were to describe it, it's very simplistic in its design, in which it's just a roguelike poker gambling simulator that's just very, very addictive and very, very good at what it does. It's innovative in some regards, and yeah, it really could sweep the Game Awards. And I know some people don't like it being nominated for Game of the Year, but there's always like that one indie game, and I definitely think it deserves that honor. And I don't think that you can make a case for some of the other games that we'll get to later on that were, I guess you could say, shunned. But yeah, I think it is going to win Best Mobile Game, but hey, maybe some of these other smaller Japanese games like Zenless Zone Zero, I believe Hoyoverse is Japanese, or maybe it's South Korean, I'm not sure, but I could see some of these Eastern studios competing with it, but I think Balatro is going to win a lot of awards that night. The next one we have is Best Debut Indie Game. Again, Animal Well, Balatro, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, The Plucky Squire, and Balatro. Best Independent Game, Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, UFO 50, and Balatro. Best Community Support, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, No Man's Sky. And yeah, in terms of community support, I almost feel like this award should go to Helldivers 2. Like I said, this game has had its ups and downs, but the community really came together, and I really do feel like Helldivers 2 represents this year in so many ways. And I'm actually kind of, there's some opinions I have with some of the other categories later on, and I just really don't think Helldivers 2 got the love that it deserved. Along with Palworld, which is missing completely from this. It was shunned completely, which Nintendo definitely played a role in my opinion. I definitely do think they did. Next up we have as Best Ongoing, Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2. Again, you can make the case for whatever game. Destiny 2, despite all the controversy, had a fantastic expansion earlier this year. Diablo 4, the same thing with Vessel of Hatred. And Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite have been going on so long, and Helldivers 2 obviously, again, meets the moment, and you really could make a case for any of these games, I think. Next up we have his Games for Impact, Close of the Distance, Indica, Neva, Life is Strange, Senua's Saga, Tales of Kenzera, Zao, and I think Tales is probably going to win this. I think the message behind that game is really, really grand, especially what it meant for the creator and his father and everything. I think that definitely is the front runner in this regard. Next up, Innovation in Accessibility, and yeah, this is the only nomination that Dragon Age The Veilguard won, and I would actually be surprised to see it win this, because Ubisoft and their accessibility, that is probably the one area in which they dominate, and they just always have so much customization, so many different options, and you could make the case for either one of these games. But yeah, the fact that this is the only category is kind of surprising to me, but also shows that there wasn't a universal love for this game, even despite those Metacritic scores, which continue to go down with time. And also users, obviously, are a lot more mixed on the game than critics. Next up, Best Performance, Brianna White, Hannah Tell, Humberly Gonzalez, Star Wars Outlaws. I don't understand that one. Just the narrative of that game just frustrates me in so many ways. And then Luke Roberts, James Silent Hill 2, and Melina Juergens, Senua's Saga, and I think she won in like 2017, 2018 with the original Hellblade, but I do think it is a competition between these two. I think James probably will pull it out. Luke Roberts here, great performance in Silent Hill 2, which is another game that didn't get enough love from the other categories we're going to get over. Best Audio Design, and I just find this one so funny because Black Ops 6, there's a massive controversy before and after launch in which better audio was paywalled pretty much. You had to pay an extra $20, and that's just so funny seeing it nominated for Best Audio Design. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure which one of these will win it, but I just find that story so funny. The next one, we have Best Score and Music, and this is probably a competition between Stellar Blade and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'd probably give the slight edge to Stellar Blade. I think it just had a fantastic soundtrack in my opinion. Next up, Best Art Direction, Astro Bot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Metaphor, and Neva. And I honestly obviously. Don't know which one of these games will win it, but there is some clear omissions in this category specifically as well. Like, this is a category in which Space Marine 2 and Stellar Blade I definitely think should have been here over a couple of these games. But yeah, I really do think Astro Bot's going to dominate this event and win a lot of awards and probably win this category. Best Narrative: Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor, Senua's Saga, and Silent Hill 2. And I'll give the slight edge here to Silent Hill 2. I definitely do think that it deserved a little bit more love. The next game: Best Game Direction: Astro Bot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor, and again, it's just a battle of these two beasts, and I think you could make a case for Balatro because it is innovative in some regards with its poker gambling mechanics and stuff, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think Balatro actually might win this one over Astro Bot, especially because of how different it is. Next up we have is Game of the Year, and this is the big one. And this is the one which, again, there's always controversy with Game of the Year, and it is here once again. I do think the Game Awards is always a disaster because there's things here that just doesn't make sense. This probably should be expanded, but yes, Shadow of the Erdtree got the nomination over games like Stellar Blade, like Space Marine 2, like Silent Hill 2, and I think Silent Hill 2 probably deserved it a little bit more, but there's a lot of conversation online and a lot of outrage with it because Game Awards, say what you will about it, this is the premier event. This is the one that everybody pays attention to, but all these games I believe got like high 80s, 90s in terms of Metacritic score. The only one that got a little bit lower was Black Myth Wukong, but I am surprised almost somewhat to see Black Myth Wukong. I really did think that a game like Dragon Age The Veilguard was going to get a lot of nominations, and it didn't, and maybe that's because of the Chinese audience, maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, there would have been outrage if Black Myth Wukong didn't get nominated, but surely it did. So this will be an interesting Game of the Year. I'm not exactly sure there's a clear front runner, but I could see that if one of these games starts winning a ton of awards, it's probably going to be their day, the entire night. But yeah, Astro Bot, it just seems like a perfect platformer for PlayStation this year, and all things are coming together, and especially based on how some of these other platformers have been treated in the past at these gaming events, I wouldn't be surprised to see Astro Bot take home Game of the Year. I do need to give some flowers to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It was an improvement over Remake in almost every way, with great combat, packed with emotion, and a fantastic open world. I just wonder if recency bias may hurt it. Which, then you could argue Metaphor, as it was a stellar RPG and by many considered a new high for Atlas. As I said, there really is a case to be made for each game in this category, but if I had to guess, I do think Rebirth might take home the hardware and should be considered the front runner. And personally myself, I have been playing a lot of Balatro as of late, and that'd be my personal Game of the Year, I think, at the moment. But I definitely have many issues with this event, just how it's conducted and everything, but it is another year in which we all come together and see whatever massive announcements that Jeff Keighley is going to hype up, and then it ends up being some cartoonishly dumb game that none of us are at all going to care about. So we'll see if there's anything more in store. Maybe there's some massive surprises. There hasn't really been, I think, in a couple of years. There's always at least a couple of interesting games that are shown in terms of, you know, advertising, but there hasn't been any insiders, any leaks so far. But I definitely am looking forward to seeing the conversation surrounding this event because it's always a little bit entertaining. Maybe Jeff Keighley will surprise us with another debacle, but I definitely think we're going to see some more out of Hideo Kojima. Death Stranding 2 is probably going to get another 10-minute trailer. We'll see some other surprises. Mafia, The Old Country, that's probably one of my most anticipated games of next year, and they promised, I believe, the developers some news in December, so I could see that as a point in which they show off some gameplay or another trailer for that experience. So there's definitely some very exciting things on the way that could show up here. But yes, like every year, Jeff Keighley will be running award winners off the stage and giving celebrities endless amounts of time to give their speech about whatever project they're working on that's usually unrelated to gaming. But anyway, what do you make of the Game Awards show, some of the controversy that has been going on or surrounding the event? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.